Was she really just a singer, or was she a poet crying out to the world through her pain? Amy Winehouse. Anyone who hears her name can almost feel that voice echoing in their ears. Rehab, Back to Black. These weren't just songs. They were the melodies of the deepest wounds inside a person. That's why Amy wasn't just an artist. She was the soul of an entire era. Born in London, she was surrounded by jazz and soul from a young age. At just 16, she was discovered. And before her youth had even begun, the stage belonged to her. But let me tell you something. When fame comes too early, sometimes it's not a gift, it's a curse. Because the spotlight lifts you up, but that same light exposes your shadows for everyone to see. And Amy's shadows were only growing darker. Her voice was fragile, raw, real. Anyone who listened could feel it. But let me ask you, when you listened to her songs, did you ever wonder, was it just music? Or were they really cries for help? They tried to make me go to rehab, but I said no, no, no. Was that just a lyric? Or was it her life's naked confession? Amy's life proved something to us. Music isn't always entertainment. Sometimes it's pure pain. Behind every smile we saw on the glossy covers, there might have been unbearable loneliness. And I ask you this, was the media there to celebrate her art? Or were they slowly staging her tragedy for the world to watch? In the early 2000s, everyone knew she would become a legend. But at the same time, everyone could see how fragile she was. Looking back now, did the people around her really not notice the collapse that was coming? Or did they notice and simply choose not to intervene? This is where Amy Winehouse's story truly begins. It's not just the story of a singer. It's the story of a society. The story of that thin line between brilliance and suffering. And maybe it leaves us with the biggest question of all. Does great art really come from great pain? Or is that just a romantic lie we tell ourselves to make sense of the tragedy? To truly understand Amy Winehouse's life, you can't just listen to her songs, because those songs were like diaries. Every line, every melody was a raw reflection of her reality. Imagine this. You're selling millions of albums worldwide, winning awards, receiving endless standing ovations, and yet, under all that light, there's still a quiet voice inside whispering, "You're not okay." How long can someone carry that contradiction? Amy's rise was fast. When her debut album, Frank, was released, she was only in her early 20s. Blending jazz and soul influences with a modern edge gave her a unique place in music, but it was Back to Black that put her at the top. Even today, if you ask someone on the street about Amy Winehouse, that album is the first thing that comes to mind. But here's the real question. Was that album simply a milestone in music history? Or was it actually the soundtrack of a young woman's slow collapse? And let's remember how the media treated her. Every day, headlines and TV shows were filled with Amy's ups and downs. Sometimes she was painted as a rebellious young woman, sometimes as a tragic warning. But did the media ever help her heal? Or did they make her wounds even deeper? Isn't that one of the saddest parts of her story? Watching someone struggle, not privately, but in front of millions. It's important to remember, Amy wasn't only battling alcohol and drug addiction, she was also battling a dependency on love. Her turbulent relationship with Bobby is a clear example. Their love was both passionate and destructive. So here's a question. Can love keep someone alive? Or can it drag them even deeper into the darkness? In Amy's case, the answer painted a very painful picture. Most people listen to Rehab as a catchy hit, but in reality, it was a desperate cry for help. They tried to make me go to rehab, but I said no, no, no. Was that a bold rebellion? Or was it the confession of a soul unable to accept its own pain? In my opinion, while the lyrics sound like defiance, they're actually an open wound. Fragility dressed up as resistance. And here's the irony. The world knew her as the woman who said no. But in truth, her rebellion wasn't against the system, it was against herself. Doesn't that contradiction make you wonder, how much duality can a human being endure? To the world, she was an icon. To herself, she was a wounded child. On stage, Amy always seemed strong, but behind the curtain, there was a loneliness she couldn't share with anyone. Empty hotel rooms after the show, long nights where the applause faded into silence. What do you think remains when the clapping stops? Maybe the deepest silence of all. All her life, people called her incredibly talented. But how many actually asked her, "How are you?" Isn't that the real problem? As fans, we fall in love with what artists create, but we forget they're human, that they can feel broken, abandoned, or crushed by loneliness. What made Amy truly unforgettable was her authenticity. She never tried to be polished, never hid behind masks. But that honesty also made her fragile. And maybe that's why we're still talking about her today. Because Amy Winehouse didn't just leave us songs. She left us a lesson. Fame doesn't bring happiness. True peace is found within yourself. So here's a thought. How could someone fit such a powerful legacy into such a short life? Was it her talent, her pain, or a mixture of both? Maybe the answer lies in every note she sang, every word she wrote. Amy Winehouse's story isn't just about a career that left a mark on music history. It's also about the fragility, contradictions, and inner battles of a human being. On stage, she was seen as an icon, a legend, a phenomenon. But behind the curtain, she was facing addictions that consumed her, loneliness, and the endless pressure of fame. Most of us only knew her through her songs. We didn't see the tears, the screams, the pain hidden behind those melodies. And that's exactly where Amy's tragedy lies. Her death makes us ask, why do the greatest talents often burn out so quickly? Maybe the answer is hidden in the very nature of art, because the greatest artists often draw from the deepest pain. Amy's voice was a raw reflection of her soul. Back to Black wasn't just an album, it was a lament, a farewell. Rehab wasn't just a song, it was a cry for help. But did we really hear those cries? Or did we just let ourselves get lost in the beauty of the music? When we think about Amy Winehouse's story, another question comes to mind. If she had found more support, if she had found a way out of her loneliness, could she still be with us today? Or is the real question this: as a society, how much do we truly take care of our artists? We love them when the stage lights are on, but do we turn away when the applause fades and they're left alone? That painful contradiction might be the hardest lesson in Amy's legacy. Amy left behind an enormous legacy in such a short life. Her songs still inspire millions. Her voice still touches our hearts. Her loss wasn't just a tragedy for the music world, it was a loss for all of us. Because she reminded us that real art isn't only in the notes, it's in facing life in all its raw truth. Today, when we remember Amy Winehouse, we shouldn't just see her as a tragedy, but also as a lesson about the cruelty of life, the heavy weight of fame, and the darkness of loneliness. And maybe the most important thing we can take from her story is this: no matter how bright life looks on the outside, everyone is fighting a shadow within. In the end, Amy's story leaves us with one last question. Are we really listening? Not just to the music, but to the cry behind it? If we can answer that honestly, maybe that's the best way we can honor her memory. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share in the comments which celebrity story you'd like to see next. Your suggestion might be the focus of our next video. And tell us what Amy Winehouse's music meant to you personally and the impact she had on your life. Remember, your comments shape the future of this channel.